Alright. Hi, again, it's me. I'm back. Yay. You're probably tired of me. I don't really care. Alright, this is Mythology Monday. Yay! Because everyone wants to learn about Greek mythology because it's great. Alright, so I'm getting it from this book. It's a legitimate book. I'm not taking it from a website. It's from a book by this guy, or translated by this guy, or whatever. So yeah, don't look at my nails; they are looking horrible. So basically, this is the story of Theseus. Theseus, which was referenced in the movie Hercules by Disney. Here we go. So Aegeus, the king of Athens, goes to the oracle. Excuse me, the oracle of Delphi, because he doesn't have any babies and he wants babies. Doesn't really understand why his wife doesn't have any babies. So whatever. So he goes to the oracle, and she gives him this really cryptic message, because that's what oracles do. And so he drops by his friend's place, King Theseus, and he's like, "Hey, the oracle told me this, and I don't really get it because I'm stupid." So Theseus is like, So he understands what the oracle meant, but he ain't gonna tell this. He ain't gonna tell Aegeus because he's not really a really good friend. So Theseus is like, "Oh, I don't know," and Theseus gets Aegeus just hammered. He's like, "You should have sex with my daughter. Yeah, then you'll have a kid. Then you should totally have sex with my daughter." Stupid. So he Theseus is getting Aegeus just fucking wasted. Well, while that's happening, Poseidon sneaks into Theseus' daughter's room. Aethra. I don't know. So Poseidon and Aethra have happy fun times, which is always great because Poseidon's sexy. Sorry. And then that same night, Aegeus has sex with her, and there's a baby that's made, because that's what happens when people have sex with each other. Babies are made. Now you know. You will get pregnant and die. So, he leaves a sword and a pair of sandals underneath a rock, and he says, if you have a son, and he can move this rock, then you should send him to Athens, and I can claim him as my son. And she's like, okay. So he leaves, and, years later, a few months later, she has Theseus. And Theseus, the grandpa, is all like, "Oh, he's the son of Poseidon and my daughter." He doesn't claim Aegeus at all. So, whatever. Theseus is a snarky, cocky bastard because he's the son of a god. That's what they do. And so Theseus kind of perfected what we know today as wrestling. He kind of perfected the art that is wrestling. The wrestling that we see in the Olympics, not the shit that we see on TV. That's not wrestling. That's really bad soap operas where people hit each other, which happens in soap operas anyways. So Theseus moves the rock, and he gets his stuff, and his mom's like, "Oh, you should go to Athens and claim your birthright." Stop it! So Theseus is like, okay, and he's the son of a sea god. It would only make sense to go to Athens via a ship through the water, because that would make sense, But guys can't do that. No, they have to take the most troublesome, not easy route ever. Most difficult route in the world, and it's through this route through Corinth. So he goes, and when he leaves, he meets this son of Hephaestus, and he kills him, and then he meets Cenas, and he kills him, and then he sleeps with his daughter. Just meets like all these bad guys, and he kills them all, and whatever. So he finally makes it to Athens, to the Acropolis. My bad. And he makes it there, and everyone and their mom is making fun of him because he's wearing the wrong clothes. He is wearing about an ankle length robe, and what you would normally wear in Athens in that time period are like these short tunics. So he looks a little bit feminine, and they kind of make fun of him. The people on top of the Acropolis's roof, in fact, called him many a names, and they called him basically a woman. And Theseus is not pleased. So he gets a bison, two cows, something like that, and he throws them. He just throws them in the air. Doesn't matter who they land on. Doesn't matter where they go. He just throws them in the air, and he proves that he's a boy, and they leave him alone. And then he goes to the palace, and Aegeus is like, "Oh, who is this man who's done such wonderful deeds?" And he goes and he, meets Aegeus, and they don't really know each other. They don't know who each other is. And the current queen, I guess, knows exactly who he is. He's son, and she knows. Oh shit, my son is no longer important because he is here. I need to fix this. So she goes and she tries to trick the king into getting Theseus to kill the bull that they have running around, which Hercules captured in long story. Basically Theseus goes, he's like, fine, and he goes and he kills the bull, and he's like, here, where do you want it? Not that big of a deal. And then she tries to trick the king into giving Theseus poisoned wine. That's really nice. Well, that doesn't work, and they finally figure out who each other is, and they're like, hey, and Aegeus is like, oh, I have a son whose mother isn't a psychopath. So, Theseus, they're all wonderful, happy. Nope, not the end of the story. Here we go. So, a messenger comes and says, Minos is coming for the sacrifices. Now, Minos basically owns the labyrinth. The labyrinth is in his land. And inside the labyrinth is the Minotaur. Well, the Minotaur demands sacrifice, I guess, of seven youths, so 7 boys and 7 girls, every 9 years. That's what the Minotaur wants. So Minos comes and he's picking out who he wants, and he sees Theseus, and Theseus is so pretty and so strong that he picks Theseus. He's like, him. And Aegeus is like, no. So Aegeus tells the captain of the ship that if Theseus is killed, when you come back, sail with your sails black. They have to be black sails. But if Theseus is alive, sail back with white or scarlet sails. And the captain's like, okay, I'll do it. So they go, and Theseus, gets kind of thrown out there, and they're thrown up, and they're like, oh, it's the sacrifices! Feed them so that they can feed the Minotaur, and the Minotaur really was alone. Well, Minos' daughter, Ares, she has a longer name, I'm not going to say it because I can't pronounce it. Ares sees Theseus, and she falls madly in love with him from love at first sight. And she's like, I have to figure out a way to save him because I love him. So she goes to Daedalus, who created the labyrinth, because the labyrinth is ever-changing. That's the point. If you've seen Labyrinth with David Bowie, that's basically what I'm talking about. But instead of a castle being in the middle, it's a Minotaur who wants to eat you. So Daedalus is like, yeah, there's no way he's ever going to get out because I designed it like that on purpose. No one's ever going to escape. But here's what you can do. Here's this magic ball of string, like in The Princess and the Goblin, or The Goblin, old movie, and it's this magic string, and he can use that to get out of the labyrinth. Well, she gives it to Theseus, he uses it, he ties one end to the door, and then he goes and he kills the Minotaur, and then he follows the string back, and he gets out, and he gets the rest of the sacrifices, I don't know. And he's like, let's go. And he grabs Aerie, and they all run for the ships. All of them. They're all running. And they all make it because of other events. And on their way home, Theseus kind of just stop on this island to get, supplies. And he's like, Aerie, come off. Because she's pregnant with, his baby, because that's what they do. They save people, and then they have lots and lots of sex. So she's pregnant. He's like, here, sit right here. I'll be right back. Liar. He leaves her on this rock, and And right when she's about to kill herself, Dionysus, the god of wine and having a good time, sorry, this is funny. He shows up and he's like, no, don't do it. And he takes care of her, and they live happily ever after because he is a sweetie in that story. So Theseus, otherwise preoccupied with yet another woman in his bed, doesn't realize that he needs to change the sails from black to red or white. So when they sail into the harbor, I guess you'd call it, King Aegeus sees the black sails and he thinks that his son is dead, and he jumps off of the palace wall and onto the rocks below it, and he kills himself. So Theseus is like, Daddy, I'm home! And they're like, your dad just killed himself because you're a jackass. And that's the basic story of Theseus and the Minotaur. Thank you so much, Edward Tripp. You're a doll. I have hair in my face.